Um, yeah, so bird. Um, so this is C grade, and it's a very interesting photo, and it is a good portrait of the bird. I love the catch in the eye, and I love the fact that the background is so out of focus, so it's probably is the right focal length. Um, so the things that would take off from this photo is the fact that I think it's been cropped quite a bit. It's very sort of yeah, it's not sharp. So it was sharpened apparently, but not successfully. This is quite distracting, those lines, out of focus lines. I mean, they do create a beautiful bokeh, but they are distracting. Obviously, the bird needs to stand on something, but ideally something that is nature. In any case, for C grade, this is highly commended. Okay, so it's not that easy to move to the next one. And so I will have to apparently go like this and then click on the next one. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. The next image is titled The Kiss. I like the square crop, and I like the fact that, her face is pinched sharp. How I would improve this? Look, I don't know if this is adding this veil. I don't think if that is adding to the photo. Also, her hands, including here, I mean, she may be praying, but, I think that is distracting. Also, she's not looking at the camera. And having her mouth open like this is a little bit awkward. Anyway, acceptance for The Kiss.
Elan, you should only need to press the next button at the bottom to go to the next one.
Next. So, next. Very sophisticated. I'll try to make this slightly bigger. Okay. So the next image is titled Kelly and Carmen, Lagoon Saddle Upper Waimakariri. So, I mean, it's nice that they're not the same height because that creates some dynamic. And it's nice to include a little bit of the background. Obviously, they are close together. So that really works well. And I like the color palette. I like the mixture of this greenish color with the blues. Yeah, other than that, so this is extremely tight here at the top. Also, I think the hands are too big, especially this hand. And if you try not to include logos because that's distracting. These logos, and there's a little bit of clutter here. So anyway, acceptance for this image. The next one is titled Amber. So it's a beautiful photo of Amber. I like the monochrome touch. And I think, it complements her. The light is soft, not too, but we have a little bit of Rembrandt light here, which is nice. It's slightly tight, especially at the top. And I'm not sure about including the hand. You see, this is very bright. It's all blown out. So would have been worked better without that. Acceptance for this image. So this is D. And I like the fact that, again, the square crop and soft light, it seems like golden hour or something like this. I like the fact that the glasses have no reflection. So that's great. Yeah. Acceptance for D. And this one is called Gazing Down with Cheeky Grin. I mean, she's cheeky, and it's a beautiful capture of this young girl. It's nice that it's fading away slightly into the background. The things that slightly take away from this photo are these branches here. Also, she seems a bit awkward here, but that's not the end of the world. This is slightly blown out. Yeah, so acceptance for this image. Shafiq. Yeah, I think it's a good portrait of a person at work. He's focused on cooking, and it's a good crop. I don't mind cropping the head and the hand. It's like Gestalt. We know where everything is. We don't have to see everything, and he's in the kitchen. I think this could have worked better had we seen more food or a little bit more of his eyes. The text here above his head, on his cap is distracting. Yeah, also, these elements here, I mean, obviously they're here. If you can remove some of them in Photoshop or Lightroom, that'd be great. I think, our eyes are attracted to these red dots. Acceptance for this image. And now we have train driver, Ferrymead Railway. Look, I think this is a beautiful capture. He's obviously very happy. His eye match his overall. He's leaning. You can see the train. The background of the sky is nicely lit. It's a little bit loss of detail here. And I think this, it's been softened somehow. There's a filter that has been applied here because this all looks too smooth to me, but highly commended for train driver. We'll move to the next image. And this is piercing. Yeah, I'm not sure about the title, but I won't focus on this so much. Yeah, it's a good capture of this man. I like the fact that we see a bit of reflection here. And I think this sort of line here is distracting. But other than that, acceptance for this image. And now we have a pensive emu. So look, it's not easy to take a photo of an emu. I think taking it from the front would be beneficial. Also, these highlights are completely blown out. So I like the fact that they're out of focus, but they're extremely bright. And this is, so try to take this photo in a better time of the day, say, yeah, when it's not so sunny. I mean, the sun is not conducive to this image. Also, ideally, the emu will have a better profile, not looking away, but looking into the camera. Acceptance. So this is African Gentleman, and I think this is a beautiful capture, beautiful color palette. It's slightly bright here on the nose, on the cheeks. Highly honors for this photo. It's a beautiful capture of this gentleman. Yeah, even though we lose a little bit of details here, we can see his character. We can see, yeah, it's beautiful. The next image is titled Ella. So I like the black crop, the square crop and the sort of black and white treatment. I think to make this image slightly better, try to get the catch on both eyes and absolutely try to remove the color, especially the tags. They don't add anything to this image. And this is slightly out of focus. I don't mind that this is out of focus, but the tag is distracting. Is the echo coming from my end or from your end? Okay. Okay, well, it's always my fault. Yeah. So acceptance for Ella. Now we have a photo of the happy couple. Yeah, they are happy. Look, when you take a photo of a couple, try not to, remove one chin like that. It's easy to ask the person behind to just move sideways. I like the fact that they're not the same height, but this has been manually created, this out of focus. This is not in camera, and it's overdone. So even though you wanted us to focus on the couple, this is very distracting. So I rather keep it without blowing it away. Also, you can see a little bit of, I think it's a necklace or something here. And so those things are distracting. Acceptance for the happy couple. And now we have a photo of Lorraine. Lorraine, look, she looks beautiful. She looks directly into the camera. When you take photos of models, you know, just ask them to remove those rubber bands. Also, the little bit opening of the mouth is okay, but this is not really symmetrical, so it's a little bit awkward. So sometimes you want them to open, but just, you know, in a soft way, or get it closed if it's not symmetrical. This is too harsh here on this side. Yeah, you can actually reduce the flash or the light to create a softer look. Acceptance for Lauren. And then we have a photo of Pat and Double Hat. So I'm not sure about the double hat. Look, it's an interesting capture with the mirror, but it has been done so many times. I think, you know, taking pictures with mirrors is not ideal. It simply is very difficult to create a wow from that. And so I really love the light on his face. And I like the temperature and the color palette. Look, this is distracting, this box here, these notes. Also this window, I think this window works. It doesn't have to be, but there's a little bit of bright here. So our eyes, as I said, are distracted. So it's so easy just to take these sort of boxes or notes away, or ask him to move slightly forward to block these. Yeah, highly commended, highly commended for this photo. So this is slightly, I think this is, we're gonna exit out of here, and we're gonna move to the next, we're gonna move to B grade, which is slightly smaller. And we're gonna look at the first photo, Deep in Thought. Yeah, so there is obviously the thinking man, I think it's Rodin, and it's sort of imitating it, but I think the original in cast, I think it's Braun. I think it's better. So my 2 cents. I actually ask my subjects not to wear patterns. It's not the end of the world, but you see he's got this necklace again, and he's not looking at the camera. And this is very blown away, this sort of highlight. Acceptance for Deep in Thought. And now we have a blue and pink angel. Yeah, she's definitely pink and blue. And I like her attitude. I like the combination of colors. I like how symmetric that is. Yeah, I would love to have a bit more touch in her eyes, but I think it works well. I like the fact that the background is out of focus. This is slightly tight here. So if you can give us more room to breathe, I think it will score higher. Highly commended for blue and pink. And then we have White Heron. So the White Heron is good. I like the fact that he's, you know, in the rain, and it's a good portrait of the bird. And I like the fact that the background is really out of focus. And we see that this is a longer exposure by the streaks of the rain falling down. Yeah, I think it's slightly sharpened, but still works. Highly commended for White Heron. The next image is Letitia, or something to that effect. I think it's well done. It's well done. You know, the light falls on her very softly, and we see the background a little bit. It's okay. I think that hand doesn't work here. Yeah, it's just distracting. Otherwise, it's beautiful. I would like to have a little bit of touch in her eyes and maybe make them slightly brighter, but it is a nice portrait of Letitia, highly commended. And now we have clay mask shot. So yeah, she's wearing clay, some sort of wind to maybe a fan, so it's nicely taken. Yeah, it's nice. I don't mind that this is probably moving. That's why it's a bit out of focus. So I would question if she's got a tattoo here underneath. I can't read it exactly, but I would question why would you put mud on her face? I mean, it's a big disgrace or something like that. I think Queen said that. But she's beautiful. I mean, if you put mud, maybe put it all over her, but half her face, but it is a personal choice. Anyway, highly commended for play mask shot. And we will move to the next category, which is A grade. Quite a lot of photos here. And we start with Nigel, last days on the farm. Look, as I said before, these are slightly distracting. The background is nice. I think maybe a monochrome would give it better representation. The light falls on this side, but his face doesn't get so much light. Acceptance. Passionate performance. Yes, she looks passionate and she is performing. So the challenge with this photo is we look up her nostrils, so to speak. And obviously the photographer was below this person. So I don't know, it doesn't work so well for me. Acceptance. The lady in the hat. Definitely a lady and definitely hat. So we see here, I mean, she's beautiful. Georgia, I think her name is. And, we have a little bit of details here, not a lot. Here we don't have any detail. So this is in a studio-ish, and that's why we have this sort of background. I don't think that's natural, but that's okay. And then you have to question, why is that hand so bright? So it's so bright because the light came from here. And that's why this is shaded. So I would actually raise the head slightly so it, her head will, or maybe put a reflector underneath to bounce the light up. And then this is awkward to hold the hands like this. So maybe hold hands together or maybe in a different way. It's very big here, and I think it's slightly distracting. Acceptance. The lady in the hat. In the hat. In. Okay. And then we have a photo titled Endless Wait. Yeah, she's waiting and she looks quite desperate. So the photographer made an effort to put these sort of stags around her. She's holding a very tired flower and she looks a bit miserable, as she should. So yeah, I think it's well taken. Her skin tone is nice. It's not too distracting. This is slightly tight. But there is a story here. Highly commended for Endless Wait. And now we have Sarah, or Sarah. Yeah, good heart and big lungs is what we want. And, I don't know where this background came from. I think this is slightly distracting. It's out of focus. This is also out of focus. So I don't know how this is out of focus and she's sharp. Maybe it's a filter applied later. But it's a good try. And, I would move her chin slightly towards me. So then she doesn't have to bend her eyes so hard. Yeah, highly commended for Sarah. And now we have Just What I Wanted. So obviously this girl is happy with whatever she's holding. And maybe, I don't know what it is. But, then you have to question, why is this still here? I mean, it's not distracting that much. Obviously, it's a party. She's joyful. Is she eating this? I'm not sure. But anyway, I think the monochrome treatment is great. I think it's well lit. I think the square format works well. Honors for just what I want. Good, good job. And then we have Nena. So Nana. So look, this is extremely tight. I think there's vignetting here applied to create that. Vignetting can work, but I think it's slightly hard-handed, so to speak, heavy-handed. Also, this is out of focus, so I'm actually not sure where the focus is, but it's too soft here. Acceptance for Nana. And then we have the empty nest. So it's an interesting photo of this little girl, and she is holding an empty nest. This is sepia-ish, but slightly. Well, it's a personal choice. I think this is slightly distracting. This very fairy tale, whatever that is, but it's an interesting take. Highly commended for the empty nest. Now we have Karima. So Karima. So I think Karima tightens her hair. I think it's a her, but maybe it's a his lips very hard. And then we get these sort of lines here across the face when this happens. Also, you see these highlights. So moving the subject slightly away avoids these highlights because they are distracting. Also, these are distracting. So acceptance for Karima. And then we have Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose is astonished. She should. And it's nice monochrome. Look, this is slightly distracting, but it's not the end of the world. I think she's cute and adorable and cootie, and all those other things. I think the monochrome, I mean, I would love her to look into the camera. She looks slightly above the camera. But, Ruby Rose is it. Highly commended for Ruby Rose. And then we have Astrid and Willow. So I think this is nicely, softly done. I like the darker background. I like the fact that Astrid is looking straight into the camera. There are ways to get Willow to look at the camera. But, overall I think this has been done manually, this sort of out of focus effect here. Yeah, I don't think it works. Highly commended for Astrid and Willow. And then we have Medicine. So Medicine is nicely, I like the color palette. It holds her nicely. I would question this above her eye. I mean, sometimes it works, but here we have half an eye. I mean, this is ideally, you don't cut an eye in the middle or slice it like that. It's distracting. Highly commended for Medicine. Off to Market. So this is somewhere in Southeast Asia. And I think it's a good capture of this family going to the market. Yeah, again, slightly heavy-handed with the vignetting. And this is very bright here. So yeah, there is ways to remove these highlights in post. And ideally, you'd remove a little bit of that just to avoid distraction. I mean, the bike is amazing. And if you could get the woman to look at you and the child, that would be stunning. Acceptance for off the market, to the market. And then we have Holly in 30s dress. Yeah, it's a good crop, and she's obviously in red, and she's sitting on a beautiful sort of chair. So this is more of an Art Deco things, and 30s I think is Art Deco-ish. So this light is very harsh. There are ways to soften the light before taking the photo or after, but ideally you do it before. This harsh light created those sort of highlights here, and also this sort of, we don't have a lot of detail here. The other thing is I would question, why does she hold her cheek? Now, she may lean on that, but she actually presses against her cheek. So ideally, even if you include the hand, there's nothing wrong with including the hand. Yeah, try to make it more elegant or more subtle or softer. Yeah. acceptance for Polly in 30s dress. And now we have Beauty in Bloom. So it's nice to create a photo outdoor. I would question the tight crop, even though this is out of focus, this is really tight. And I will also question why would she bend her head so hard? And the most important thing is she doesn't look at the photographer, so there's no connection, and one eye is bigger than the other. So there are a few things to improve. Acceptance for Beauty in Bloom. So this is a hilarious photo of Grandpa Lama being to Specsavers. I think the photographer has gone a little bit outside and that it's added his or her 2 cents. I think it's a great capture, and you know, it's okay. I wouldn't crop the ears like that, but still honors for Grandpa Lama being to Specsavers. So this is Teweka, and I think it's nicely done. It's nice that we see, obviously, the highlight in the eye. It may have been over sharpened, but just a tad. So well done, highly commended. So this is ready to take off. It well taken, you know, obviously the bird seems, you know, we can see a bit of personality. The face is sharp. I don't like the fact that this is out of focus, but yeah, it is what it is. Trump said that first, I think. Honors for this photo. Ready to take off. So this is, we don't have a title for this one. So it's okay. Look, you have to ask why include, you know, all this negative space here with heavy vignetting, and why include so little at the top? So yeah, acceptance for this image. So this is Wonder, and we actually don't see her face. Look, sometimes it works. There's nothing wrong with not seeing the face, but portraiture, yeah, you could. It's an interesting sort of hut. It gives us some atmosphere. Yeah, it's broken glass. And so we see a bit of things here and some reeds, etc. Acceptance for Wonder. Yeah, so this is the Jogal car from Jodhpur. I assume this is India. I think this is very well done. It's slightly tight, but he looks at the camera. You can see the story of his life on his face. Interesting background, slightly out of focus. Yeah, very well executed. Honors and best in show. Yeah, this is we're very well done. And here we have Ivy. So what am I going to say about Ivy? Yeah, she looks lovely. I think it's slightly harsh, and I think it's slightly over sharpened. These lines, you can avoid having these if you don't over sharpen it. Also, her eyes are slightly, I think this is slightly smaller than this. Highly commended for Ivy. And this is Amanda. Amanda, yeah. Look, I'm not sure about her smile because, you know, teeth are, they're okay, but they are distracting. So I like the fact that she holds her hand in her pocket, and I like the background. I say to my subject that sleeves photograph better than without sleeves. So, I mean, it's a personal taste, but yeah. Anyway, acceptance for Amanda. I like the touch in her eyes. Yeah, we're gonna go to the next one. And this is Steampunk Love. Yeah, I mean, you can see the contact between them. You can see the steampunk. Obviously, there is a lot of affection, and they're both very happy. There is this crow here. I mean, obviously, everything is holding the theme together. And I like the monochrome treatment. Well done. Highly commended. And we have a Kotuku in the rain. Yeah, it is Kotuku and it is raining. It looks a bit wet. I think this is slightly merging into the background. I don't mind the high key, but I need to see where this ends, and it's slightly difficult. This is slightly too bright. Yeah, highly commended for Kotuku in the rain. So this is some 60 years at sea. Yeah, it's an interesting crop. I'm not sure about the borders. I know that Nick Software does this, and there's nothing wrong with it, but does it add? I'm not sure. I like the fact that there's a catch in his eyes. This is slightly bright, but not too bad. Yeah, and I don't mind cropping his head, but slightly heavy vignetting again. Highly commended for some 60 years at sea. And this is clubbing. Look, there is potential in this photo. I like her attitude. I like how she poses. You see her lips here are tight, and that creates those sort of lines that I spoke on before. Also, she could bring her chin down. I don't mind that she twists her head, but this is slightly harsh. So bring the light slightly forward so it lights her face, not the side, because there's a lot of potential here. Her eyes are practically lost almost completely. Yeah, acceptance for clubbing. So there's two people here. It's titled The Breakup. I think the light is good. It's slightly bright, but not too bad. I like the fact that we see all the details here, beautiful details in the shirt. We have a little bit of details of this person, man, and a little bit of detail in the hair. We don't need much more detail, but this is slightly sort of muddy where we don't know where the hair ends. Same thing happens here. It's a good story, acceptance for this photo. So I think this is the end of the show, huh?
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Alan.
Well, I get clapping? Unbelievable.
Diana here?
Are you presenting the awards now?
Yes, we'll do that now.
Certificates.
No, Diana? Is Newell here? Yes. As you will have noticed, Alan was very generous with his awards. So we have a number of awards to hand out tonight. So the first one this should be the whole lot together. Right, ready to go. The first one is Deep in Thought by Jane Barnes. Nigel's Last Day on the Farm by Maxine Cooper. Passionate Performance by Richard Cooper. The Kiss by Robin Carter. The Lady in the Hat by Anne Lamb. Kelly and Carmen. Lagoon Saddle, Upper Waimakariri. Brian Hobart. Then we have Amber by Francesca Davies. Die by John McCall. Not here. Gazing Down with a Cheeky Grin by Judy Kirk. Then we have Nana by Raywin Wright. Shafiq by Jonathan Brown. And Piercing by Rick Holder. And we have a portrait of Karamai, Sue Newport. And a Pensive Emu by Neroli Keating. Next is Off to Market by John Hunt. Then we have Holly in a 30s Dress by Paul Williams. Betty in Bloom by Les Armand. P17 by Diana Andrews. Ella by Philippa Wright. And Wanda by Diane Kelsey. Then we have The Happy Couple by Kay Miller. And Lauren by Thyra Colossal. Amanda by Calvin Ed. And Clubbing by Terry Casey. The Breakup by Peter Dunbar. Now we move on to the high acceptances. Is Bird by Lucy Ferguson. Lewin Pink Angel by Dennis Cheng. Endless Wait by Alicia Hebden. Excuse me a minute. Sarah by Ron Willems. Next is The Empty Nest by Paul Williams. You may have noticed Paul had 2 entries in this competition. That was because he judged earlier in the year. Next one was White Heron by Jenny Money. And then we have The Train Driver Ferrymead Railway by Jan Bog. Next is Ruby Rose by John Thornton. Astrid and Willow by Dawn Kirk. And A Portrait of Madison by Joe Curtis. Latita by Cornelia Schultz. The Taweka by Bevan Tulett. Clay mask shot by Nicola Jackson. Pat at Double Hut by Kelly Habertle. And next one is Ivy by Anne Yuan. And next we have Steampunk Love by Tash Harris. And I'd rather be Drago Kotutu in the Rain by Mike White. Some 60 Years at Sea by Neil Greenfall. Congratulations. Just What I Wanted by Nola Summer. African Gentleman by Adrian Gentleman. And collect it. Sorry, was that honours I meant to mention? So on to the honours. We got Grandpa Lama Been to Specsavers by Annette Preen. Gives you something to think about. Next one's honours is Ready to Take Off by JKQ. And the honours Invest in Show. Do I have to repeat this? Joglika from Jodhpur by Alistair Phillips. Right, and that concludes the presentation of the awards. You there, Alan, still?
Hello.
Oh, you are there. Do you want to present your Faces of Humanity?
Yes.
Away you go.
Thank you. You don't need to show my face there. I think if I share the full screen, you got more real estate if you don't share my face. I mean, you don't see. So thank you again. I'll give you some background about Faces of Humanity. So just before we start, so Faces of Humanity, how did it come about? I received an email from, how much time do we have, John?
Elon, you've probably got about 20-ish minutes.
Wow.
Is that enough?
Okay, so let me know when
25?
I don't want to push my life too much. Anyway, this is my mom showing now. So I'm a portrait photographer and I'm based in Auckland and I actually do family portraits. That's my main gig. But as you can see, I take other photos as well. So I received an email about a year and a half ago with the team at Wow Photography, which is my company, but there's only one man here, one-man band. So anyway, I received an email from this assistant to the parliamentary, to the MP, Simon Watts, who is a member of parliament of the North Shore. And I called the woman immediately and she referred me to the curator at the Beehive. So I called the curator, her name is Tasha, and I spent 45 minutes on the phone with her and she says, Elon, you made my day. So she wanted me to collaborate with other artists and I said to her, look, I'm not sure anyone does photos the way I do, but maybe another genre. So she came up with another person who lives in New Zealand, in the North Shore, but he does a lot of big canvases, huge, colorful, very beautiful. But I do smaller, say, A4 prints in monochrome, so I didn't think this would work. So I suggested another person who was a candidate, and he does beautiful glass vases and spheres. So he was going to present his art on plinth. So it wouldn't take space on real estate on the walls, and also it's a juxtaposition of color and monochrome. So we had all sorts of pandemics and COVID and Karimba and Karaba and Jacinda and the whole thing, and lockdown and quarantine. And then we had some riots in the parliament. And by the time we had received the green light, my partner has sort of bailed out. He didn't want to go on. So it was a solo show. This is my mom. So I actually exhibited inside the Beehive, 38 prints or so, which is extraordinary. So we're going to look at my exhibitions. By the way, if you do want to look at my work, I think John had sent you some links. Did you, John?
No, I'm going to send it out with our next update.
John,
Yes, can you hear me?
did you send any link to any member?
I'm sending it out with our next update.
Oh, well, I know where you live, John.
And I know where you live, Alan.
Well, anyway, so I'll show you a few of these. So the Face of Humanity, look, travel was off the card at the time, and the curator, her name Tasha, she loved my in situ photos. I mean, I have a lot of other genres on my website, but some are R18 and she said these are not suitable. And so I said, okay. And she loved these portraits. So this is taken in Morocco. Lots of tires, and the guy was happy. So that's, and you're welcome to ask questions. If somebody in the crowd is brave enough to ask a question, make my day. And if you're not brave enough, then you can send me an email later. By the way, I do offer PSNZ members critique so they can achieve honors. And I've helped 3 last year, and all 3 of them achieved. So you're welcome to contact me. So this guy is actually in Auckland. He is into this sort of outfits, battles and things. This is at Northcote. I thought he looked the show.
Elaine, can you tell us what sort of briefing the lady at the Beehive gave you? Did she just look at your website and say, I like that work, or did you make this work specifically for it, or a bit of both, or how did that come about?
Look, it's hard for me to hear exactly what you're saying, but I showed her my website. We went through all sorts of portfolios, and she was in awe. And then she just said to me, how about you take some of your travel photography and create a collection? And so I did. So she gave me free hand. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks.
So this guy is posing. This is a cell phone. So he's posing at, I think it was Castor Bay, Kennedy Park, about a year and a half ago. This is a barber shop in Browns Bay on the North Shore. And there's Karim Abdul. No, this is Muhammad Ali. Yes. And lots of other things and nice reflections and nice notes here. You may wait for the barber of your choice. This is in Cairo. So I visited Cairo in January 2020, and I visited this market in Cairo, which is, I can't remember the name now. It will come back to me, hopefully. And then I was really hungry around 8 p.m. This is like all night thing. So I went around until I saw this establishment, and they didn't know a word in English. There was no menu, but I just pointed. If there's lots of people, then, I'm not sure about health and safety. I mean, he does these shish kebabs by hand, and it took me a little bit of time to clear. There were some assistants here. And you can see a little bit of blisters here above his head. That's from, I think, banging his head 5 times a day. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, so that kind of thing. And nice people, very nice people in Egypt. So this is in Morocco. He's dyeing sharpening the swords, so to speak. That was, I think, 2018-ish. This is in Israel. He's holding the Israeli currency. A little bit suspicious, but I like his attitude. So this is in the street. Yeah, look at the shoes and the doorway and on some of the alley behind him. So this is, some of these are amazing, but some are just average. Yeah. So this is a guy in Taranaki. I mean, at the time he had this sort of museum, and this is in Austin, and it's covered with shells. I posed him here. He doesn't look extremely happy, but it is what it is. I think Trump said that. Yeah. So this guy is sitting with his dog at his house. This is in Takapuna/Milford on the shore. Yeah, the dog, look, it's his life here. You can see a bit of his hats and literature. And yeah, the man and his best friend. So this is on my way back. I was judging this competition and I gave a talk in Howrah. And on my way back to Auckland, I saw these two kids, and he had an eel on his shoulder. And I asked him to pose, and that's that. Yeah, it's a cool guy. I sent the photo I gave him a business card. His mom reached out to me. I sent her the photo. She was over the moon. This is in Akko. Akko is a harbor town. There is like in north of Israel, just north of Haifa, if you are familiar with the geography. So this is the owner, and he smokes a shishash. I think that's his dad here in this photo. This is the assistant, and these are fish. So you see there is foreground, there is the subject, there is background. I had to remove highlights. There were lots of highlights on those stainless steel doors. And there is saints here, and there is Dome of the Rock here, if you can see it. Do you have a good monitor there? Do you have like a good screen? What's the visual?
It's a big screen.
Good. If you have any questions, this is a good time. This is sort of a Hamsa. Hamsa means 5 or Hamesh in Hebrew, but it's the hand. The hand is a symbol of good luck-ish. And there's lots of things here. I mean, I think that's his dad. I'll try to increase the size here. Yeah, no, it's not going to go. So this is his dad smoking shishash, but with a beautiful hat. And this is Arabic, and this is some sort of a important person. Yeah, we'll move on.
Great photos. How do you approach your subjects to ask to take a photo?
So this is, he sells herbs and spices, and he's into horses. So I think that's his dad. And his dad received a medal from King George IV, give or take. And the medal is inside this box here. And this is like a photograph. And I think that's his dad, and maybe he's one of those kids here. And the horse and, pumpkin things and swords. So his father used to be a policeman in Palestine. And he lives near the sea, and he's got lots of collectibles, and people come here to buy herbs and spices and coffee. This was very dark, and his eyes were very dark. But I got him like a fraction. There were customers going in and out, so I waited like 10 minutes until he became free, or maybe 15. He said that National Geographic spent 3 days in his shop. So that's that. This is a guy in Tel Aviv. I think he injured a little bit of his fingers, but he kneels. He does obviously blue collar, and you've got the junk around him. And I like the fact that there is no reflection here, and that he's the real deal. So this is in Sutu. You can see his workshop. This is in Morocco. These are dead chickens. Yeah. a butcher. He gave me permission to take his photo. Look, I don't know the language, but sort of body language. So this is in Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem. He actually was very conducive. Look at his beard, beautifully beard. And these are sort of a cloth or scarves that he sells. He really was trying to help moving in and out. He wanted to get the right picture. So when I go to Jerusalem, I'm a Kiwi and I try not to involve politics because sometimes I get into trouble. Now, this is 2014, it says here, if you have a good picture. I waited until he looked up. So I asked his son if I can take a photo. He was reading the paper. I wasn't going to interfere. And then he lifted his eyes and I clicked. So there was a guy called Neil Armstrong. And he said, one small click for mankind. Plagiarizing, paraphrasing. And And so these are merchants. They're not happy. This is the old city of Jerusalem. You can see the menorah or the candelabra. He's not Jewish, but this is a place where pilgrims come and they want the memory from coming to Jerusalem, which is a UNESCO heritage site. And these are like shofars. This is in the Jewish New Year and Yom Kippur. It's blown to create, in the synagogue, it's how you start the holiday, you finish the holiday, and you do that throughout some prayers. And this is for Hanukkah. You put candles inside and you light additional one every day. This is to celebrate a miracle of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. The Romans conquered it, and then Jews defeated them, and then they found a small jug of oil, and instead of lasting for one day, it lasted for 9 days. So that's a huge miracle, and we celebrate it until today. Yeah. So this guy sells these shishash, hubble bubble, and I think he's very cold. That's why he's holding his fist like that, I hope. And there's tobacco here and things. Yeah. And this is in Rwanda. So I won a big award from Sony to travel to Tanzania. And I thought, great, there was a stopover in Johannesburg. I hired a bodyguard. I paid $1,500 just for the bodyguard, because I had a few South African friends who said there are people with AK-47s in the street, and they could easily. So anyway, when I got to the airport in Johannesburg, they wouldn't let me in. They said the passport expired. I said, no, just flip the page. There is an extension. And they said, we don't scan that page. It doesn't have your photo. So anyway, they wanted to deport me back to Sydney. It's a long story. I lost a little bit of weight, and I ran to Rwanda instead of that. And Rwanda is very beautiful. So this is a man with gas. They're still in theirs. Yeah. And this is another person in Rwanda. This is a market. So behind him is the sort of building, and he sells hangers and brushes and things and gloves. Yeah. So this is a girl, I think she's Tutsi. Rwanda had suffered a huge Holocaust. Around 15 years ago, 1 million Tutsis were massacred with machetes, which was, very horrific. Just to emphasize the point that people are very gullible. We're not going to go there, but yeah. So she was walking up this path, and yeah. So these two men are in the forest. I went to see gorillas. I paid a lot of money to see these silverback gorillas, and these were just there walking up the path. I asked them to stop for a minute. And day before yesterday, I received a silver with distinction for this photo in the travel category as part of NZIPP Iris Awards in Nelson. So I'm one of the judges, but they won't let me judge my photos. I don't know. I think I'm a good judge. Anyway, this is the, yeah. This is another photo from the market in Morocco. Sorry, in Rwanda. This is natural light coming from the side because the market itself is very dark. It's like a building. It's a large building. So, I think she's beautiful. This is in Morocco. This is a barber. Early morning, just before customers arrive. And I asked him to look at me. I'm not sure how I said that because I don't have a lot of communication. I think that's the Quran behind him. There were a lot of glare here. I had to
Alan, can you hear me?
yeah.
Can we just have 5 more minutes, please? Can you,
Sorry, can you say that again close to the microphone?
Can we have 5 more minutes?
5 more minutes and that's it?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
No worries.
Thank you.
So this is in Melbourne. His name is Arthur. He kept explaining to me how I should deal with women and what makes them tick. And he cut Elvis Presley's hair. He wouldn't pose for me initially until I paid him $100 Australian. He cut my hair with that fee. This is how he sits. This is his steady state. So this is in Jerusalem. I mean, they were pushing a cart there, and there was lots of disturbing elements in the background, but they're sharp and yeah. So I actually posed them. This is in Auckland near Bethel's Beach. So this is her uncle. He was the mayor of some city, and this is her grandmother-ish. I took it from another place in the house. I put them there. This is beautifully yellow and orange and blue. I gave him this coat. This is his gun, and I posed them here. It's a family portrait. They were delighted. I gave them maybe 2 or 3 prints. So this is, I rented this place and I got this beautiful woman, I think from Sri Lanka, to sit here. Not sure there's an emotional reaction, but it's nicely composed. This is in Jerusalem. He was selling these bagels with za'atar. The za'atar is here. It's a nice herb. And I think he's got 2 feet, but he leans against. So this is Jaffa Gate, which was created by one of the Turkish sultans when they had the empire, the Ottoman Empire, spreading across the Middle East. So this is, again, in the old city of Jerusalem. And these are his kids here. He ran after me on the street because he was afraid. He got a translator to ask me, what am I going to do with the photos? And I said, this is just, collection, because he doesn't own this store and he was concerned that something, I'm not sure. And he's got a nice scar here above his eyebrow. So I created this in their home in Auckland. I met the two in an art show. He has these boots. The whole house was cluttered to the roof, bedrooms, living room, corridors. I had to lift the chandelier up so it's not going to disturb here. We had to move the dining table. The dog was crazy, but this is actually in camera. So there's no, but there was a little bit of highlight here. This was too bright, his face, he lifted his chin. And so I had to take his face from another photo. So I belong to the deep state and I can do these things. So this is in Cairo. There is a market there. I think Han El Khalili, that's the name of and it's like, look, there's 40 million people there. The grandeur is showing, but the whole thing is deteriorating and you can see they cannot maintain it. Corruptions and wars and politics and they used to be such an economic empire maybe 40 or 50 years ago, but yeah. So this is a merchant in Jerusalem, and he's just leaning, and these are his things. Backgammon, it's called damka in Hebrew. Yeah, this is a bakery, I think, and that's what's in the background. He's waiting for somebody to join the game, and he looks at me. They sell pomegranate, and these are, this is in Alexandria in January 2020. So I actually paid him money, but when you negotiate with them, you have to agree on the currency because I agreed on the currency on some sort of a taxi ride, and then they said, we want dollars, not Egyptian. So $1 is 16 Egyptian pounds. So it's quite a difference. So I have to agree on the currency, and he's quite grumpy. So I like that. He sells these lighters, and there's lots of, sort of, you can see the whole crumbling in the background. Yeah, the old city of Jerusalem. Zinger manual sewing machines. There's two of them. 3 years previously, he wouldn't allow me to take his photo in another place, but he didn't remember that, and he looks at me, and that's all there is to it. So there's eye connection here, which is important. So this is the father and son. He's holding the fist. I'm not sure why. His father really wanted me to buy something, and he's got antiques here, and there's a certificate of authenticity, but it's all photocopied. And I asked him, how do you know that this is real? So he said, well, I know. So I didn't buy anything. I won a silver with distinction for these three brothers. There are dwarfs in Rwanda. I had to extend the wall here because it actually finished quite close here, and I had to straighten the pavement. Yeah, I know their names and everything. So before we finish, I want to ask you, because I realize if any of you really enjoyed this show and they think it's amazing, so do go to my website if John sends you the links.
Is that in New Zealand dollars or
If you
Australian
get the
dollars?
links and you think this was extraordinary, unbelievable, outrageous, amazing, and you think I've added something to your growth, I would love you to write a nice review. So I can send you a link to TradeMe, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, and that will increase my presence on search engines. And then maybe there will be a client that pays me because I need to eat, and food is nutritious only if you eat it, I think. And don't take me too seriously, please.
I think we have a question, Alan.
yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah. Hi, Alan. We've got one quick question. So let me try and remember how to phrase it. How do you ask people to pose? How do you approach your subjects?
That's actually a good question. So most people rather die than ask people anything. And I don't care. So what's the worst thing that could happen? They would say no. So in Egypt, on my flight from Amman, Jordan, to Cairo, there was a beautiful woman sitting beside me, and she was praying using her cell phone from the Quran. And she spoke good English. So I asked her, how do you say, can I take your photo, in Arabic? Because I know some words in Arabic, but so she taught me. I wrote it on a small card. I repeated it maybe 50 times. It's only like 6 words, but I couldn't. So it's actually Mumkin Surah. Mumkin Surah is like only 2 words, but anyway, I got it in my head after a day repeating it. And then 80% of people would be delighted. There's no women, it's just men. And this was, I think, in D Photo magazine published. Anyway, after I realized that if I shake their hands first and I look them in the eye without saying anything, and they go like this, and they realize I actually showed them the photo at the back of the camera. I gave some a business card. There were 2 women here, but they ran away because they're not supposed to be in photos. The men were over them. This is at night, so this is a street light lighting them. They just drink and smoke. I think that's what they do most of the day. This guy is Christian, and anyway. Do you know a company called Nike? Nike. So under the swoosh, do you know what they say, John? Under the tick.
Just do it.
Yes. So I just ask, and if they say no, I go away. If they ask me, what are you doing it for? I say, album, collection. I used any French, Italian, whatever it is. I explain, and usually they say yes. Especially in Africa, they don't have the phones inside of. They have nothing else to do. I don't disturb people. He was sitting there. Yeah, that's the Shishash guy. This is in Akko. you can change here. This is the no commission, January 5th, 2015. I asked his permission, in English because I'm an Israeli and that could get me into trouble. But this is Petra if you want to visit. And why wouldn't they say yes? They're not concerned about what would people do with my photos. There's no model release form. This is, I'm a tourist. I respect them. I ask them politely. I'm not stealing their photos. If you look carefully at this photo, this is a map of Israel, but it says Palestine here. So, yeah, he's not a supporter of Israel in any stretch. This is a bric-and-brac in Jaffa.
We're going to have to wind up pretty
yes,
soon,
yes.
Aaron. So, sorry.
If you want to write a review, please contact me.
Yes.
Contact me. I'll send you links.
And I will send out your link on Sunday's email. So thank you very much for your
thank you for
critiques
listening.
tonight.
It's good for my ego. Saves a lot on my psychotherapy.
I'm going to hand it over now to our MC to finish off the evening.
Oh, thank you. And another round of applause for Ilan Wittenberg. Thanks, guys. Thank you. All righty. Did everyone enjoy that? Are you all going to go and write a review on his website? Excellent. Excellent stuff. I've just got a couple of little quick finishing notices to round the evening off before you go and have a cup of tea. Next week, we've got the results of OpenPrint 4. For those who've entered and those who haven't entered, come and look at the beautiful images on the wall. It's always nice seeing physical works. As Ilan would undoubtedly tell you from the exhibition in Wellington, it's much nicer to go and enjoy the physical thing. And before the OpenPrint, we've got a workshop at 7 o'clock with Ian Walls talking about using lens babies. So that's going to be awesome fun. Maybe he'll even bring one or two to play. Fantastic. So that's it for the evening. Thank you very much to Wayne and Gordon for sound, Alistair on projection, opening with Terry, and meet and greet with the few of us who were just stood around outside chatting to people. So thanks for that. And let's go and have a cup of tea. No supper tonight. Don't bother go and have a cup of tea at home. Thanks very much.